Let me start with a number, 74 million. That's roughly how many Americans currently collect a Social Security or retirement benefit check every single month. For most of them, it's not a bonus. It's the check that pays the rent, the check that fills the pharmacy order, the check that keeps the lights on. Now here's the second number, 0. That's how many warnings most of those 74 million people have actually read all the way through. Not because they don't care, because the warnings are buried in agency language, spread across 5 different press releases, and mixed in with 1,000 scam alerts that make people numb to the real ones. So today I'm doing something simple. I'm separating the real triggers, the actual documented on-the-books reasons a pension or Social Security payment can be paused or cut from the noise. No speculation. No sources say. Every claim in this video traces back to a government policy, a signed law, or an official agency statement. By the end, you'll know exactly which category you fall into, if any, and exactly what to do about it. Let's go. Here's why this isn't just another Social Security headline in 2026. Right now, 3 major changes are happening at the same time, and together they could affect how millions of Americans receive and keep their benefits. First, the Social Security Administration is working toward completing the transition away from paper checks, requiring nearly all beneficiaries to receive payments electronically through direct deposit or a direct express card, buying Social Security. Second, the agency continues conducting eligibility and record reviews, checking information such as work activity, marital status, residency, incarceration, and other factors that can impact benefit payments. Finally, and this is the issue that deserves the most attention, the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund still faces a projected depletion date under current law. If Congress does not make changes before then, benefits would continue, but only at the level supported by ongoing payroll tax revenue, not the full scheduled amount. None of these developments are rumors or internet speculation. They're official, publicly documented changes. And because each one affects benefits in a different way, it's important to understand exactly what delayed, reduced, or suspended really means, and what steps you can take to avoid unexpected problems. This is the issue with the most immediate risk of causing someone to miss a Social Security payment. Yet it's receiving far less attention than it deserves. For years, the federal government has been moving away from paper treasury checks in favor of electronic payments. Under the current policy, beneficiaries who still receive paper checks are expected to switch to direct deposit or a Treasury-issued debit card. If they don't make the transition by the required deadline and they don't qualify for an approved... If you don't have a bank account or live in an area where banking services are difficult to access, you may be eligible to request a hardship exemption and continue receiving payments through an approved alternative. The important part is timing. Don't wait until a payment is delayed before taking action. Once a payment is suspended, restoring it can take time and create unnecessary stress. Taking a few minutes now can help ensure your benefits continue arriving without interruption. So if you or someone you know still receives a paper treasury check, act before the transition deadline, not after. Who's affected? Anyone still receiving Social Security benefits by paper treasury check who hasn't switched to direct deposit or an approved Treasury debit card. What to do? Contact Social Security to set up direct deposit or request a hardship exemption if you don't have access to a bank account or qualify for an approved exemption. Their payment may be temporarily delayed or suspended until their payment information is updated. While the number of people affected is much smaller than it was a decade ago, millions of Americans still rely on traditional payment methods. Those most at risk include older retirees who never enrolled in direct deposit, people without access to a bank account, individuals living in rural communities with limited banking services, and anyone who simply isn't aware the transition requirements apply to them. If that sounds like you, or maybe a parent, grandparent, or another family member, this is by far the easiest problem on this list to prevent. Unlike many Social Security issues that depend on policy changes or eligibility reviews, this one has a simple solution. Contact the Social Security Administration and update your payment method by enrolling in direct deposit, or visit your local Social Security office if you need assistance. This is the oldest rule in the book, and it's also the one that quietly suspends more payments than anything else every single year. Not because of policy changes, but because of paperwork. Social Security and most public pensions are not set-it-and-forget-it programs. They're built on an ongoing eligibility contract. You're required to report certain life changes, and if you don't, the suspension isn't a punishment. Administratively, it's just the system doing what it's designed to do. Pause the payment until your record matches reality. Here are the specific triggers, and I want to be precise instead of vague, because vague is what causes panic. Incarceration. If a beneficiary is convicted of a crime and confined for more than 30 continuous days, Social Security benefits are suspended for that period by law. Unreported death of a beneficiary. This sounds obvious, but a huge share of overpayment cases start here. A family doesn't report a death promptly. A payment goes out. It has to be suspended and clawed back. Work and earnings changes for people on supplemental security income or disability-linked benefits. If you're on SSI and your income or resources cross the eligibility threshold and it isn't reported, payments pause. Marital status, changes that affect spousal, survivor, or SSI benefits. Divorce, remarriage, or a spouse's death that isn't reported in time. Residency outside the United States. Certain countries have restrictions on sending Social Security payments to beneficiaries living abroad, and payments can be suspended if you relocate to one of those countries without notifying the agency. Failure to complete a periodic disability review for those on Social Security disability insurance, missing a scheduled continuing disability review can pause payments until it's rescheduled and completed. None of these are new rules invented in 2026. What's different this year is Enforcement Volume T. The agency has publicly said it's running an active push on data matching and eligibility verification, which means these routine checks are catching more unreported changes than they have in past years. Who's affected? Anyone with an unreported life change, incarceration, unreported death in the household, unreported marriage or divorce, a move outside the U.S., a missed disability review, or SSI income changes. What to do? If any of these apply to you or someone you help manage benefits for, report it directly through your My Social Security account or by phone, proactively, not after a suspension notice arrives. I need to draw a hard line here because this is where most headlines get sloppy, and sloppy headlines cause real panic in people who can least afford it. This is where a lot of people get confused because the words cut and suspension are often used as if they mean the same thing. They don't. If the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund reaches its projected depletion. Here's another point that often gets overlooked because of one confusing word: suspension. Not every suspension is bad. If you've already claimed Social Security retirement benefits but haven't reached age 70, you may have the option to voluntarily suspend your benefits. By doing so, you can earn delayed retirement credits, which increase your future monthly payment once benefits restart. For some people who are still working or don't need the income immediately, this can be a valuable long-term strategy. But here's where the confusion begins. The Social Security Administration also uses the word suspension when benefits are stopped for completely different reasons, such as failing an eligibility review, not updating required information, or missing certain administrative requirements. One type of suspension is a choice that can increase your benefits. The other is an action taken by the agency that can interrupt your payments until the issue is resolved. That's why context matters so much whenever you hear the word suspended connected to Social Security. Who's affected by the projected trust fund depletion? Every current worker and future retiree could be affected if Congress doesn't change the law before the projected depletion date. What to do? There's no urgent action required today. Instead, treat your Social Security benefit as one part of your retirement income, not your entire retirement plan. Building additional savings and income sources can help protect you if future benefit levels change. There's one more risk the Social Security Administration has been warning about repeatedly, and it deserves a place on this list because scammers deliberately exploit the confusion surrounding benefit suspensions and account reviews. Every year, thousands of beneficiaries receive phone calls, text messages, emails, or even social media messages claiming their Social Security number has been flagged, that their monthly benefits have been suspended because of suspicious activity. The caller then creates a sense of urgency, demanding immediate action to fix the problem. In many cases, victims are told to send money using gift cards, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, or other difficult-to-trace payment methods. The Social Security Administration has consistently warned that these are scams. The agency will never threaten you with arrest, pressure you to make an immediate payment, demand gift cards or cryptocurrency, or tell you to keep a phone call secret from your family. If there's a legitimate issue with your Social Security record or benefits, the agency's normal procedure is to contact you by official mail and provide clear instructions, not frighten you over the phone. If you ever receive a call demanding money to restore your benefits, hang up immediately. This is especially important because the eligibility rules we've discussed are real, and scammers know it. They closely follow public announcements and use legitimate Social Security policies to make their fake stories sound convincing. If you've heard about benefit reviews, payment changes, or possible suspensions in the news, it's much easier to believe a caller who claims your account has been affected. That's exactly what these criminals are counting on. Their goal is to create panic before you have time to think or verify the information. Fortunately, the best defense is also the simplest. Never trust an unexpected phone call, text message, or email. Then contact the Social Security Administration yourself using the official phone number or the contact information listed on the agency's official website. Taking a few extra minutes to verify the claim can protect your identity, your finances, and your monthly benefits. Who's affected? Every Social Security beneficiary can be targeted, but older adults and people living alone are often the most frequent targets. What to do? Never send money or provide personal information in response to an unsolicited call or message. Hang up, verify the claim independently, and only communicate through official Social Security contact channels. Let's bring everything together because the goal of this video isn't to leave you worried, it's to help you understand what actually deserves your attention. There are a few situations where the risk of a delayed or temporarily suspended payment is real and immediate. If you're still receiving Social Security by paper check and haven't switched to electronic payments or requested an approved exemption, that's something to address now. The same is true if you've experienced a major life change, such as a change in marital status, residency, incarceration status, or the death of someone whose record affects your benefits and haven't reported it. For SSI and disability beneficiaries, unreported income, returning to work, or missing a required eligibility or disability review can also interrupt payments. On the other hand, if you're already receiving benefits by direct deposit, your records are current, and the only thing worrying you is a headline about the projected trust fund depletion. Date: there's no reason to expect your next monthly payment to suddenly stop. That projected date represents a long-term funding challenge that would require congressional action, not an overnight shutdown of benefits. And finally, remember this: any unexpected phone call, text message, or email demanding immediate action, payment, or secrecy should be treated as a scam, not an official Social Security notice. Staying informed, keeping your records updated, and verifying information through official channels remain the best ways to protect both your benefits and your peace of mind. Before you leave, here's one simple task that could save you a lot of unnecessary stress. Log into your My Social Security account, or help a parent or grandparent do the same, and verify 3 things: your payment method, your current marital and residency information, and, if you receive disability benefits, the date of your next scheduled review. It takes only a few minutes, but it can help prevent many of the legitimate payment issues we discussed today. The purpose of this video wasn't to scare you with headlines or worst-case scenarios. It was to separate facts from rumors and give you a practical checklist you can actually use. Social Security rules can seem confusing, but they're not hidden. Once you know where to look, protecting your benefits becomes much easier. Stay informed, stay prepared, and don't wait until there's a problem to check your account.